You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 28th day of May, 2026. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. That one's reserved for members only and those taking their 1-week free trial. This broadcast, on the other hand, is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There are 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do this once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before the broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link, so at 12 noon Eastern, all you do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit of doing it that way is you immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, there will be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 3,000 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more, a lot more. And obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But if you're new, it's a great resource to have at your fingertips because it allows you to see how we've evolved over all these years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. At the top of the hour, roughly 1 p.m. Eastern, Michael will join us for a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room and do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. Right now, we'll dive into our daily devotional, which is where we start each and every afternoon broadcast. topic we're on, and we still got a ways to go. We've been on this topic for quite a while, about 40 days. Maybe we got another 20 to go, something like that. Everyday faith. Not the Sunday morning, get up, get dressed, go to church kind of faith. That's important too. But I'm talking about the everyday, Monday morning, flat tire, got to show up for work faith. Everyday faith. Our scripture today is Luke 19, verse 41, from the NIV translation. As he approached Jerusalem and saw the city, he wept over it. Again, that's Luke 19, verse 41. Jerusalem had heard him speak and witnessed his works. He was weeping over people who had been visited by God and were about to refuse him. His tears were for a people committed to their own understanding, their pride, their religiosity, their self-protection, and false safety. He spoke plainly to them. He revealed heaven and the Father. He declared that salvation had come. He stood right in front of them, and yet they missed it. He knew the judgment that would follow. His grief was the sorrow of a holy king confronting the reality of rejection. There is a difference between holding truth and carrying the heart of Christ. It is possible to speak accurately about sin and remain internally untouched. It is possible to defend doctrine and feel no burden for the people standing beneath it. Jesus saw rebellion and he wept. People are not arguments to manage or positions to defend. They are souls who either receive his peace or reject it. When Jesus saw the city, he wept. So, question: when was the last time someone else's spiritual condition genuinely moved you before God? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we have not wept over what you wept over. We ask that you would break up the hardness in our hearts and give us in return a heart for others. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen, and happy Thursday. Thursday, that means we got a members-only workshop tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you're a member, I'll do my best to get us started on time. You know how that goes. But please have your questions ready. And if you're unable to attend live, you can email in your questions to support@cfrn.net, or you can send them to us via Telegram. And because we know that you're unable to attend live, we will answer those questions up front, so that once that video gets posted to the workshop channel, you won't have to wade through the whole thing to get to your question, because we'll answer it right up front. All right, let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. The Dow is up 33 points. NASDAQ is up 172. S&P 500 is up 37. The Russell 2000 up 15. No movers, no shakers, but they're all green. In the commodity basket, crude oil, also green, up $1.06, trading 89.74 last. That's a gain of almost 1.25%. Hey, but that still puts crude below 90 bucks. Gold up $30.20, trading 45.11 last. Silver up 37 cents, trading 75.25 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei fell 306 points. Shanghai rose 4. The Hang Seng down 322, which is a little over 1.25%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 79, the DAX down 75, and the CAC down 19. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And at the moment, it is a green Radio Thursday here in the US of A. Had a pretty decent rally into the close yesterday. And we've put in another new all-time historic high. Again today, I'm flabbergasted at how this market continues day after day to climb this wall of worry. I mean, anybody in their right mind knows that this fragile peace treaty, ceasefire, whatever you want to call it, Iran's Iran. They have been for 47 years. They're not going to change. The only thing different is that we have a president who is finally willing to stand up to them, even if it costs him the midterms. That's how serious he is about this issue. So it's not a matter of if we go back to war, it's a matter of when. So anyway, you got to trade what's in front of you. 5 villagers trapped for more than a week inside a flooded cave in central Laos. There we go, Laos. Were found alive yesterday. A breakthrough in a rescue mission that drew comparison to Thailand's 2018 cave rescue. If you'll remember, Elon was a part of that rescue. 2 others still remain missing. The group entered a cave on May 19th, reportedly searching for gold despite safety warnings, when heavy rain flooded the cave and blocked the entrance. Rescue teams from Laos and Thailand, including some of the divers from that famous 2018 rescue, navigated over 900 feet of narrow, muddy tunnels and strong currents. Video footage, it was a GoPro, showed the 5 survivors huddled together on rocks and surrounded by floodwater. They remain inside as crews work to extract them through the same hazardous route. The rescue echoes the 2018 operation in northern Thailand, when 12 boys and their soccer coach were trapped in a flooded cave for 18 days before a multinational diving mission led by Elon brought them out. That's the good news. On the other side, we all remember Friends. A personal assistant to Matthew Perry was sentenced to 3 years and 5 months in prison yesterday for his role in the actor's 2023 death. Kenneth Iwamasa pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine causing death. Iwamasa is the last of 5 people convicted in connection with Perry's fatal overdose, including a drug dealer, 2 doctors, and a counselor. Iwamasa Massa was hired as his live-in assistant in 2022. When Perry wanted a higher dosage of ketamine than his doctor allowed, Massa helped secure and administer the drug illegally. In the week before Perry's death, Massa, injected Perry with at least 27 shots of ketamine, including 3 the day he died. Sort of reminiscent of Michael Jackson and what happened to him with his personal physician. Except this guy was no physician. But the physician, 2 doctors actually, have been convicted in this whole sad story. Ketamine was developed as an anesthetic in the 1960s. Ketamine is a Schedule III controlled substance used to treat depression, anxiety, and pain. A study that was published this year found out how it impacts specific receptors in the brain. I have a friend, more of a friend of a friend, who's currently undergoing medically supervised ketamine treatment. And when I spoke with him briefly about it, he suffers from PTSD and other things. He felt it was really helping him. And I'm sure Matthew Perry had legitimate reasons for initially seeking this treatment. With his money, of course, he could have bought any drug in the world that, if that's all he wanted to do was just get high. But he chose the ketamine therapy to help him with whatever personal issues he was dealing with. But then, well, I don't want to say too much here, but apparently he began to like it a little too much and was taking it in quantities that no doctor, no proper doctor would ever recommend or suggest. Even the ones convicted. This live-in assistant of Perry's, he's the one that really crossed the line. 27 shots in a week, 3 in one day. Not good. But President Trump's opening the door for research into psilocybin and other psychedelics to help people with depression and PTSD and many other things. Psilocybin, however, still remains a Schedule I drug, which means it is not legal to possess it anywhere in the United States of America. A few doctors, a few research centers have been granted special permission to do research. And because ketamine's cooked up in the lab and psilocybin is cooked up in nature by the one who created the heavens and the earth, if I was a betting man, I think I would put my money on the psilocybin, also known as the magic mushroom. But you got to be careful, because a lot of those mushrooms, every mushroom out there growing in the forest or in cow dung is not a feel better mushroom. Some of them are very poisonous, so make sure you know what you're doing. The Federal Reserve's preferred gauge showed inflation heated up in April as the conflict in the Middle East pushed oil prices higher. The report reinforces that the central bank will remain firmly on hold until there is evidence that inflation is receding. Now, if at the next FOMC they actually do just hold steady on the rates, I think that would be as powerful as a rate cut, because there's been a lot of discussion about a rate hike as Jerome headed out the door. The PCE index rose 3.8% in April, in line with expectations, and up from 3.5% in March. On a core basis, excluding volatile food and energy prices, PCE was up 3.3%, also in line with expectations, and up a tenth from 3.2% in March. Still, that is the highest level in 2.5 years. The estimates are in line with Fed officials' expectations, many of whom have said inflation is moving in the wrong direction and that the risks are shifting from a balance between inflation and deterioration in the job market to a greater concern about rising prices. Most Fed officials see holding interest rates steady for now, with a growing chorus not ruling out a rate hike if inflation becomes persistent. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook is in that camp. She said in a speech yesterday that she's closely watching the risk that companies could embed higher energy costs into the prices they set, while workers incorporate them into wages they negotiate. She noted that she's prepared to raise rates if inflation doesn't fall in a timely manner. Well, hopefully, the president will get this business in Iran wrapped up. And he's promised us that when he does, crude's going to drop like a rock, and so will the price you pay at the pump. The question now becomes, we'd all certainly hope this would be over by the 4th of July, our nation's 250th birthday. Now, I don't know. I guess we can only hope that it happens before the midterms. The casino giant, if you've ever been to Vegas, Caesars, is set to be acquired by Fertitta Entertainment, a conglomerate with holdings primarily in the hospitality industry, in a $17.6 billion all-cash deal, including $11.9 billion in Caesars debt. Caesars stock rose 1% today as investors, it's still up almost 1%, $29 a share. Investors assessed an offering that will create a dynamic hospitality company across industry-leading iconic gaming, digital, and restaurant platforms. That's per the Caesars press release. They have just sucked all the fun out of going to a casino. I've never been a gambling. I go into these casinos and I see these people and I see them losing their money left and right. They know the house, the odds are in the favor of the house. That's how they build those big, beautiful buildings. And I see these people just feeding money into these machines and playing card games that even if they win, it's not going to change their quality of life. And I guess I'm just thankful I don't have that particular character defect. I got plenty of others, but at least I don't have that one. But I have been into a couple casinos recently on my weekend jaunts, and they've just sucked all the fun out. It's all digital. None of it really makes any sense. And I see these people, senior citizens on Social Security, feeding their money. And I don't even, now, if you put them in front of a PC, they probably don't even know how to check their email. But they can play these digital machines with 27 lines, and it's called a penny machine, but you got to put 50 cents, 50 pennies, and it's all, there is no money. You don't hear that sound, of people hitting their jackpots and everybody going, yay, as all the coins fall, and make that rattling noise. That's all gone. It's gone. A tie-up between Caesars and Fertitta would combine 60 casino resorts and gaming facilities, a swath of online gaming and sports betting options, more than 600 Fertitta outlets, and a host of amusement, entertainment, and aquarium assets, according to the announcement. Wow. So Fertitta is going to pay Caesars shareholders $31 per share in cash. That is a 7.7% premium over where the stock closed yesterday. So there's some happy shareholders out there. From Bloomberg, Iran and the U.S. have reached a deal to extend the truce, and we're still shooting at each other last night. But they've reached a deal to extend a truce and work towards an agreement to end the war, according to Axios. Now, this is Bloomberg reporting on what Axios reported. Sending oil prices lower on hopes the 3-month conflict could be nearing a resolution. How could anyone in their right mind possibly believe that? Iran is Iran. The agreement is for a 60-day extension of the ceasefire and for negotiations to start on Iran's nuclear program. Axios cites 2 U.S. officials and a regional source involved in the negotiations. Of course, President Trump still needs to approve the terms. Oil prices fell on the news to near $94 a barrel, having earlier gained on a more pessimistic outlook for a deal. The Axios report sent the S&P 500 to a new all-time historic high. Okay. Now this agreement, as reported by Axios, as I said, still needs the approval of President Trump, and comes on the heels of Iran targeting a U.S. air base in Kuwait and the United States striking what Washington described as an Iranian drone near the Strait of Hormuz. So we're so close to a peace deal, and we're still shooting at each other. Is that the kind of peace anybody wants? You might want that more than when you want what's happening in New York City. The warmth of Mamdani's collectivism is going to leave a lot of landlords and tenants out in the cold. Tuesday, New York City's socialist mayor, now let's just call it what it is, communist mayor, Zoran Mamdani, announced a new city housing plan, to which he provocatively said that for properties that have suffered through chronic neglect, the city will work to transfer ownership to the community. That's how communism works. The government comes in and takes your stuff. The stuff you worked hard for, the stuff you inherited. See, stuff belongs to everybody, not just you. Doesn't matter how hard you worked, or your parents, or your grandparents, or wherever the money came from. If you got money, if you have stuff, you're bad, and you need to give it up. The stewards of the expropriated property will include community land trust, nonprofits, or even the tenants themselves. You ever been to a government-run housing project? They're going to take these big, beautiful buildings, and they're going to turn them into slums. Now, it's not exactly a curveball that Mamdani is making property confiscation a key part of his policy agenda. He's made rent freezes and shaking down landlords and the rich a central part of his affordability message. What can be done by the private sector has to be done by a socialist, he said, while rebuking history. I mean, socialism and communism has worked so well in the past. Why not bring it to New York? What kind of violations will lead to property confiscation is unclear. This could just be an excuse to come up with ticky-tack violations to weaponize the government against landlords who are often forced to operate within tight margins in the city. What's going to happen? Rent freezes. Okay? So the property owners will no longer be able to properly maintain their property. The property will fall into disrepair because the landlords cannot get a fair rent for the property they own. And so Mom Donnie will use that as the excuse. Well, look what's happened to this building. Guess we're going to have to take it over. Corrupt eminent domain. Former Democrat Representative T.J. Cox of California started his year-long prison sentence yesterday after being convicted of wire fraud last December. His surrender date was scheduled to allow him to attend his child's graduation. Cox, who represented California's 21st Congressional District from 2019 to 2021, was found guilty of setting up illegal bank accounts between 2013 and 2019, which he later used to funnel client and company money. Federal authorities also said Cox fraudulently obtained a $1.5 million loan for a Fresno development project by misrepresenting financial backing and submitting falsified documents. Cox was originally charged with 28 felony counts. 28 felony counts, including wire fraud and related offenses, but prosecutors dropped 26 of those charges under a plea deal in which he admitted guilty to just 2 counts. And so now he's going to spend a year in Club Fed. Is this the America you signed up for? Nobody did. Nobody in their right mind. Yeah, let's scrap the news. It's just all so sad. We'll look at something a little more positive. Logic 247. It's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, though. It's also crude, gold, and silver. We're currently in week 408. Over the last 408 weeks, we've issued over 22,300 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out, based simply on market structure and a very simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, because Monday was a holiday, I did not put anything out Sunday night. So since the markets opened Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 42 Logic 247 alerts. One never triggered. We're still waiting on the outcome of 14. The one that never triggered, I'm going to assume that's one I duplicated, and Valerie caught it. Thank you, Valerie, as she was doing the recap. Now, at the end of the week, we'll see what actually never triggered. But at the time she did the recap this morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, we were still waiting on the outcome of 14. She'll update that, of course, this afternoon or early evening, typically prior to the members-only workshop. So with 42 issued and still awaiting the outcome of 14, that gave us 27 actionable alerts. And so far this week, we've had 2 stop outs, or 7%. Every Logic alert has an entry price, long or short, an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, and then additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The purpose of the Logic alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart so that you don't need the alerts. The Logic alerts teach you where to expect potential resistance, where to expect potential support, and in doing so, you unveil the windows of opportunity that lie between those 2 important points, and that's where you find your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities. Now, the Logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session. and vice versa. Now, 408 weeks is a long time. It's over 7.5 years. But years before we introduced Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. They're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say this. They don't come out around the clock. They're typically posted 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening. So the Thursday session that we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. But 5 minutes before the markets opened, all of our traders had all of these targets. The S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Now, as we go through the individual markets and look at the individual charts, you'll see these targets drawn out on the chart. Just remember that our traders had the targets 5 minutes before the market opened. So let's go look at the charts. And we'll start where we always do, with the bellwether, the S&P 500 E-mini futures, where we've put in another new all-time historic high since I redrew this morning. So we're now at 75.8275. 75.8275. Let's see how close I can get. Well, that's not very close. That's pretty close. 75.82, 75, 75.83. Yep, that'll work. Okay. Now, yesterday, day before, I had highlighted this as potential support ×2. I'm telling you, this is an incredible house of cards that's being built. Price always reverts to the mean. Now, in our case, the mean is green. It's called the BBC. No matter what you trade and how you trade it, price reverts to the mean, whether you know it or not. But look how long it's been since we have had a reversion to the mean. April 7th? No, I guess April 8th. We opened here, came down, hit the BBC, and then launched this incredible rally, which brings us all the way up through today, May 28th. So we've been on this tear. We last touched the BBC April 8th, and now it's May 28th. Every time that black step line crosses blue and climbing, we typically see a retracement to the BBC. Now that's over many, 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 many years. But it didn't happen here, and it didn't happen here. In fact, today's price action has brought us back to the left side of blue and climbing. See, when we began the move, now you see how they get closer and closer and closer together. Once it crosses, you typically see a retracement back to the BBC. So it's coming down eventually, because price always reverts to the mean. And if you look at the fibs, from the low of March 31st to the high of today, May 28th, well, that's a high so far. It looks like it wants to go higher. The shallowest possible fib retracement is a 24, which would be like 72.93 if it happened right now, today. I think ultimately where we land is around 70.90. Maybe 7100. Now the 38 is currently at 7113 as we keep putting in new highs. These will change. But this one, in an uptrend, you draw your fibs from the low to the high. In a downtrend, you draw your fibs from the high to the low. Now, Goldman came out with their new year-end target. We still have 7 months to go at 8,000. Well, I mean, if price just kept doing what it's been doing, would be at 8,000 by September. So we know a retracement's coming. And while we're technical traders, not fundamental traders, something like this business with Iran, that's kind of, too big to ignore. Doesn't mean that technicals don't still work when there's all this big fundamental stuff happening. They do. It's one of the amazing things, and that's why we are technical traders and not fundamental traders. But when Wall Street no longer believes the story that we're going to arrive, now we may get a signed deal, but we're dealing with Iran. Just because some guy who says I'm the boss today, nobody knows who's in charge there. I would not buy this market here. And that's just me personally. Keep your powder dry. Because when the poo-poo hits the fan and this thing comes screaming down, that's where you want to get long. You want to get long on the pullback. You don't want to chase this thing up. But of course, you have to make your own well-informed, intelligent decision. All the alerts are created on a 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just a time frame I chose years ago, and I've stayed with it. The vertical lines that you see separate today, Thursday. Here's Wednesday. Back over here is Tuesday. Back there's Monday. Monday was a holiday. Interestingly, we put in a new all-time high on a holiday. We're the only country that celebrates Memorial Day. Right there. That was a new all-time historic high. And that was the gap higher open Sunday night. Huge. And it ain't filled. Now, this, I can't even begin to tell you how rare this is. Okay? Gaps on futures, especially the indices, almost always fill within the same, usually in a few hours, or within the same session, at the most a couple days. Here we are, way out here. And price needs to drop all the way to the low of last Friday for the gap to fill. That puts price somewhere around, I can't get it because of that. All right, now I can get it. So Friday, the close on Friday was, come on, 74.84 and a quarter. 74.84 and a quarter. That's right here. $74.84. No, there was $74.85. So today's low. This is Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So you can see that gap. Now we closed on a down note Friday, but we spiked red and falling, and then we closed here, and then Sunday night opened here. But price has to get all the way back down to here close that gap, 74.84 and a quarter. All right. So anyway, the vertical lines separate the days, the horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. We've published the zones for our members every Monday for over 16 years. They come out Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Well, once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. Now, the way you use the zones. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. Only one of three things happens when price encounters a weekly trading zone. 70% of the time will be this, consolidation. 20% of the time, this, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. When that happens, and the move runs out of steam, price will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through, just like it did here, and then continue in the direction of the slice, right down to the zone where we found support. So this was our open last night. Again, these targets were out 5 minutes before the market opened at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we did some wide-ranging consolidation at the zone. Then we got below the BBC, and we headed right on down to the short target, through the short target, all the way to the zone. The short target was based off this right here, where red turned to blue. Now, the markets were looking very heavy this morning until that report from Axios came out right here and sent the markets screaming higher. Because the inflation data that we got this morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern is pretty negative. But Axios delivered a big dose of hopium, and here we go. And that's the all-time high right now. So we hit the zone, support, bounced up into resistance. Support always sends the market looking for resistance, and resistance always sends the market looking for support. Now support's going to send the market looking for resistance, which is going to send the market looking for support. The pull back to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't, just like it did here. Now things are starting to shift. Notice how the black step line and blue and climbing are running parallel here. But you'll notice that the black step line has started to lean to the right. As it crosses blue and climbing, we should see a retracement back to the BBC. Same is true of the step line crossing red and falling. Price reverts to the mean. That step line crossing is your heads up. But again, we've been head faked once, twice on the big picture daily chart. Although it's still been playing out on the smaller time frame. But this looks very toppy to me. So we'll see. We shall see. All right, here's the Dow. Yesterday we found resistance at the zone and we found support at the zone. The open last night took us down through the zone, and that initial low came off this area right here. Okay. Support sends us to resistance, back to support. Not an area I would have looked for necessarily to be support right there. But up we go. Price reverts to the mean or pulls back to the BBC. It means the same thing. And resistance sends the market looking for support, which it found. Now this zone was published Tuesday morning because Monday was a holiday at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So we've gone from this zone to this zone. And we did that in the span of an hour. We hit this zone, and which lines right up with where red turned to blue 2 days ago. What we haven't done on the Dow is we haven't taken out yesterday's high. Although the market looks like it would like to, but again, we've got the situation where I think the ether's starting to wear off from that Axios report and reality is returning to the market. But, yesterday looked heavy until we rallied into the close several markets. The Russell, here's where we opened last night. Had an initial drop, found some support right off these lows here. That bounced us up to the BBC, the pullback held. That sent us through the short target, down to the zone. And this low right here, this is Thursday. It's this low right here from Tuesday. That's just market structure. Support sends us to resistance, pullback held. And then buyers came in right here. Not a spot I would have expected support. I would have expected it more about right there, where the black step line crossed red and falling. But buyers came in early, ran us up, and then ran us right back down. We failed to take out these highs. Sign of weakness, so we go back down to the zone support. And that support sends us up to the CTA long target, which was based off where blue turned to red yesterday, not the high. Although we're trying to push higher, we're trying to push through that long target. So there's potential resistance overhead at 2949.7 and 2952. What was this one again? 49. So 47 to 49 could be a decent trade, but you got potential resistance at 49, and then you got potential resistance here, 2952. On the NQ, here's where we opened last night, and we had a leg and a retracement, pullback held. We got another leg. Now these lows, it's this area right here from Tuesday. Support sends us up to resistance, the BBC, which sends us back down to support at the short target. And even here we hit the zone. And that launched us up to the long target, and you're looking at this week's highest weekly trading zone. We hit it yesterday and it got rejected pretty hard. That rejection came at 8:30 yesterday morning. Okay, but then as you can see, we rallied into the close. We closed basically right at where we got the bearish cross. When the red line gets below the green line, that's called a bearish cross. When you have a bearish cross, it leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. Send us all the way down here. And we hit those lows. So then we get a leg and a retracement, and a leg and a retracement, and a pullback held. And now we're just a hop, skip, and a jump from this week's highest weekly trading zone. By close of business tomorrow, we expect price to be at or below the highest zone. Now, when we publish the zones, we're not saying that price is going to go to the highest zone or it's going to go to the lowest zone. What the zones do is they create sort of a playing field, if you will. They give our traders an idea of where to expect potential support, where to expect potential resistance. However, by close of business on Friday, we do not expect price to be above the highest zone or below the lowest zone. Now, we've published the zones for over 16 years. So have there been weeks when some of the markets did close above the highest or close below the lowest? Yes. I would say a handful, make it 2 handfuls. I guess it depends on the size of your hands. Crude oil. Now, yesterday we drew in this window of opportunity. Okay. And we filled it. And that was just based off this area right here. It's $300 window of opportunity. And then, of course, we filled it again. But filled it. And then off the open last night, we got above the BBC, leg and a retracement. And then a leg. It took us right up to the weekly zone. Pretty much to the tick. Well, the zone's 92.50/55, and we hit 92.52. Now, this is this week's lowest weekly zone for crude. So, I mean, institutional traders are really buying into this whole we almost have a deal narrative. I don't understand it, but I guess I don't need to. I just know that that right there is a beautiful window of opportunity. We'll call it 87.80 down to 87.30. It's 50 cents or $500 per contract traded. We rolled gold to the Q contract. Bar chart as of yesterday was still showing. If you're on YouTube, you may have lost the stream, which means you can't hear me right now, but if you refresh your browser, it should connect. Let me see. Yeah, it's reconnected. All right. So again, bar chart was still showing M as the front month. In fact, let me see if they rolled it today. That's usually my guiding light. It just makes it simple. I go to barchart.com, and at the top of their page, it says select a commodity. Scroll down to metals, click on gold. Oh, they rolled it last night. Okay, so I think it was G in the discussion group that asked me, and that had sent me looking, and that's why I made the decision last night to roll to the Q contract. So G, if you're listening, thank you very much. So gold is really having a strong move here. We opened last night. We hit the short target. We took out the short target by a lot. Red and falling turned to blue and climbing. Now, the pullback holds more often than not. But when you got this much blue and climbing chasing price, that's a good indication that maybe this time price is going to trade through. And it did. And as happens 70% of the time, now, gold was pretty close to the lowest weekly zone. But that's changing quickly. So we got to the zone, we consolidated. And then okay, this is the slice, okay? But when the slice ran out of steam, what did it do? It retraced back to the zone it sliced through. And then it continued in the direction of the slice. Now, this slice had so much momentum, we didn't get that retracement. What we are about to get, though, is the black step line. If we consolidate one more candle here. Now, this is a brand new candle. So it's literally got 30 minutes of life left in it. But if we don't continue to push higher, the step line will cross. And that would be one heck of a pullback. Last but not least, silver. Hit the short target, took it out by a lot, and has come roaring back today. We hit the underside of the short target, which will often be resistance when you trade through a short target. But the pullback to the BBC held. So we got a leg, a retracement, and a leg. We hit that zone 3 times. And then we finally ran right up to the long target. Now that was based off of this right here. See the wick sticking down, the wick sticking up. You just put your crosshair right in the middle. Best you can. That was a long target. We hit it, but we've overcome it. Now we got a zone right overhead. 76.25/26. Nice to see silver back above 75 bucks. And Michael's here, so he's going to give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room, and then do a little live trading as time and the markets permit.
Yes.
I will then come back and wrap things up with our good word for the day.
Excellent. Here we go. Bring it over here. Sorry, I'm going to see how much lawn I could mow in the time that I was out.
Take your time, man. Need to get your breath. Just take
Yeah. Let me just have a drink. Shut my mic off for a second, and then we'll get to my breath. I think I'm ready.
All right. Well, your screens look good.
Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 28th day of May, 2026. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button right there. There's no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button. And when you do, it will bring you to, this page. On this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down at the bottom gives you TradingView login ID. All right, once we have that, we know that you took the free trial. So just give us that, and that's it. Right? Give us that, and you'll be all set. Hit the register button, and we will get your indicators indicating for you. We'll enable them so you can apply them to the charts so you can follow along during the trial. All right. Today was our best day of the month. We had one stop out today. So the markets are starting to come back to normal right now. I mean, I didn't even go and look to see what happened while I was on one, but is it all up since we ended the morning session? Yeah, we're up at the high of the day right now on the ES. So that's all good. Back here to this. All right. Today, as I said, is the 20th day of May, 2026. And if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. So we made 197 ticks on the NQ, 30 on the Russell, 19 on the YM, and 34 on the ES. Up for $1,655 for the morning session. So over our 1,200 mark, 2 days in a row. Now, today it took 6 minutes and 2 trades to get to $1,050 or 105 with one contract. And we took 25 trades with just one stop out. So 96% of our trades today were break even or better. On the month now, that puts us at $13,950 over 18 trading days, averaging $775 per day. Now, what did we end up averaging last month? $796. We have 1 day left to try to get that up above $796. Anyway, on the year, we're at $93,002 over 88 trading days, averaging $1,056 per contract per day. And if you found the 24/20 blueprint, if you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and add one contract per month, so far this year, you've only had to work 13.63 hours. And if you did everything exactly like I did and had the same slippage and everything, you'd be up $38,332.50 trading 5 contracts. Okay, that's an average of $2,811 per hour, 28.11 per hour. All right, let's get into it. Just look at something here really quick. Okay, that's all good stuff. That's what I want to see. The actual trades. Let me slide this guy over like this, and we get into the actual trades on the Russell today. We did, we had a few trades on the Russell. This is not all of them. This is all of them. All right, so our first trade on the Russell, we picked up 10 ticks on that one. And then the next trade, we picked up another 10 to get us to 20. Then we stopped out, that put us at -5. Then we picked up 20, that got us to +15. Then 5 got us to 20, and 10 got us to 30. And that is what we ended with Russell. An up close on the current bar right now on the Russell would be a long trade. So an up close on this bar, it's got a low here of 43.1, so you'll be looking at 45.1 to buy, okay, on the Russell right now. All right, the YM, we did not have much going on with the YM. We'll probably see all the trades in one screenshot. There they are. The first trade over here on the YM was a +3, and the next trade here was a +10 that got us to 13. And then this trade over here was a +6 that got us to 19. And that's almost a trade set up now. It's going to hit the mid-band and then close up. That Russell trade didn't trigger yet. Okay, still looking at that up close over here on the Russell. It's got a low of 43, so you'll be buying 45 on that right now. All right, the ES, we didn't have a ton of trades on the ES either. I know we ended up with 34 ticks, but we started out with a break even. Then we followed that up with a +2 and another +2 that got us to 4, and then a +30 right here. That +30 just, it happened so quick. I'm just looking to see what's been going on with it since then. Yeah, so we had a big move there that got us to 34, and that was where we ended it with the ES. Now on the ES, and up close right here on the ES would also be a long trade. The Russell still hasn't triggered, but the ES is now a potential trade too. Okay. The Russell, make sure the low is still in the same place. The YM is just about to trigger too. That's in the same place. Now the YM needs an up close. That's got a low 56. You're buying 76 on that. And the ES has a low of 78, 75. So you'd be buying 80, 75. So this is what those trades look like. There's the Russell. Here's the YM. And here's the ES. They're all waiting right now. Okay. Potentially get into 3 trades right now, and possibly 4 if the NQ works itself out here. So we had more trades on the NQ than any of the other markets, but still it wasn't a ton of trades. We didn't have a ton of trades today. Here we are. All right, our first trade on the NQ is right here. We picked up, I'm trying to grasp what I wrote down there. So we picked up 9 ticks on the first trade. That's an NQ. We picked up 7 ticks on the first trade. That's what I did. 7 ticks on the first trade, 14 ticks on the second trade. That got us to 21. Then went from 21 to 94. Is that right? I'm sorry. I'm looking at the NQ. We went from 7 to 21 to 71. Then from 71 to, none of those trades filled, by the way, yet. From 71, we went to 94. Then 94, we went to 146. And 100. We had some big trades in there today. Then from 146, we went up to 162. 162, we went to 177. And then from 177 right here, we went to 197. And that was the last trade of the morning for us. Okay, and that was it. So we had a really good day trading, and none of these are even the up close yet. I think they're all still in the right place. Let's see, that's got a low of 43. So here's that one. That's in the right place. I can bring them all over now that I've gone through everything. And this one has a low of 55. So that one needs to be adjusted. That should be down 1 to 75. Okay, and this one now has a low of 78.50. So that should be adjusted down 1. But always on top, always on top, always on top. All right, in the NQ, if he gives a down close followed by an up close, it'll have a trade too. So we have all these potential trades happening right now, as long as the bottom stays where it is on every one of them. This still low of 43. This low of 54, so that goes up to 74. And this low of 25, so that goes to 25. Right now, the NQ is not painted here on this last one, so it still doesn't hit the midpoint. These go down one tick to turn into a potential trade. Then we'll have potential long trades on every single market. Now that would be a thing, wouldn't it? Somebody asked me just the other day if I ever have more than one market at a time going. Yes, would be the answer. Okay, now we're in the Russell. The Russell gave us the up close, and we're in the Russell. That triggered. I think BS is still in the right place. It's got a low of 78.25. That's still in the right place. I can't see on the YM. I think the YM is still good too. 54 to 74. Yep. So they're all good right now. And the NQ could potentially turn into a trade too. 18 up to 28 right now. And so the only one we're actively in. The only one we're actively in is the Russell right now. And now the YM just changed, it closed down. The ES just changed, it closed down. So all of these have to change. What's the low on this? Well, the ES is going to be faster. The low on that is 77.75, so 79.75. And this cannot get below 35. Okay, if it gets below 35, it'll be too far away. And the low is now 41 on that. So this needs to go all the way down here to 61. And the Russell's still trying to work itself out over there. The ES is still good. I think the NQ is still in the right spot. 1750 up to 2750 on that guy. Okay, did this go down too low now? Can't see it. 36, that's pretty low. It's looking like these aren't going to turn into trades and the Russell's going to stop out. That's what it's looking like. The NQ still got a chance. The ES still has a chance. The YM is almost disqualified. It's almost too far away. It can't go below. Actually, I don't know what the midpoint's at exactly right there. Midpoint is at 550. So I think it's already gone too low. No, 36, it could still do it. It could happen. If it goes down to there, we're going to cancel the trade. Right? The only one we filled on is the only one we filled on is the Russell so far. All these other ones could still be trades though. It's now got a level 25, so that's okay. And we're about to stop out on the Russell. And we did stop out on the Russell, so that's minus 25. And that is now too far away. So I'm going to cancel this one. And I guess it's probably too far away now too. The midpoint, the midpoint on that is at 78.75, so we can't go below 76.75. And it's already done it. So we'll cancel that one. So the NQ is our last hope here. Okay, that has a low of 1375, so it would be 2375 is what we'd be buying on that. It's like that. Okay. And we have 15 minutes left in here, so we had a pretty good amount of time to trade, considering I didn't take the question box out. There it is. I didn't check to see who's in here. Okay. All right, this is going to be nothing on the NQ either, so I'll cancel that. All right, so it looks like things could actually turn down here for a short period. Let's look what this looks like if we crunch it up. Yeah, it's actually at a 50% retracement of this leg right here, so it's at a good spot to bounce. But if we really crunch it up, you know, you got to look at, this was the last big leg up, and it hasn't had, I guess this was the last decent retracement. So if you go with that right here, if you go with that, we'll say this is where it should probably get down to right now. Now, do you guys see why I chose that? Because this was the last decent retracement right here. All these other ones, it was actually inconsistent retracements. Like this was like a 24% retracement. This was 100% retracement of that move. This was like no retracement of that move. This was 50% retracement of that move. This is a 50% retracement of that move. But this was the biggest retracement of this move right here. So I would think if it's going to go down, it should stop right about here, right at the YBR. The YBR is going to change by the time it gets down there. But if it's going to continue down, I would think that that's a good spot for it to stop. Be right about here. Okay, it's almost there right now. It's there right now. I would think that would be a good spot for it to find support. And do another leg up. That's this size right here. So now that it's at that spot, we'll see if it does find support there, but another leg up this size from here. This is what I'm trying to grab the thing, that. Something like that would be good. And that's on the NQ. Now on the ES, if we go out here on the ES and look at the stuff that I did a while back, this is the new high. Let's look at the ES on the bigger picture. We don't have any trades here, so I'm not really messing with anything. Yes, on the bigger picture, we put in a new all-time high right there. We're actually pushing right up against it. The all-time high is right here. All-time highs. I suggested it was going to get up to this level by pretty much the end of June. If the whole truce things really sticks and they really start letting everything go in the straight, then we could get here really quickly. A week or two, maybe. I guess that would be the middle. Would be a week or two, but a lot quicker. Okay. And let's see let's go back to just 4 of them here and see if we can pull off any more trades. We're in the red here. We are still in the green over here on the NQ. I know this says red, but we're still in the green. But you see the bounce off of that spot right there? Bang. And we'll see if it continues up. Flipped YBR on the YM. We flipped the YBR on the ES. We have not flipped it on the Russell yet. Okay. And nobody has any questions. All right, does anybody have any questions about this? Anybody? All right, we could have a short coming up here on the ES. All right, on the ES, we're at the midband. So we just need the down close. It's got a high here of 78.50, so we'll sell 76.50. Okay, 78.50 down to 76.50. 78.75, 79, 79.25. This is a 50% retracement of this leg. This should be a good trade right here. 77.25 is what we're selling now. All right, we need the down close here on the yes. The high is 79.25, so selling 77.25. Yes. Hasn't filled yet. There it is, filled. So the immediate target looks like this one right here is 75.75. Nothing else has a trade yet. Gonna just put something over here for this. Is this window still on top? It is. Put something over here for that. And then we'll move that out of the way. So it doesn't mask any trade we have. It's all jammed up in here. You see how tight the range is from the swing high to the swing low? It's less than 2 bar lengths. So it's gonna go 4 ticks into profit. Oh wow, I didn't realize what time it is. We only have 2 minutes left. It's got to go 4 ticks into profit to bump the stop to break even. Okay, so far we've had 1 trade and it stopped out on the Russell. This is our 2nd trade. We almost had 4 trades going at once. Almost. It was close. It was almost exciting. Come on, give us something. We need 10 ticks. 10 ticks would get us green on the session. I think once it starts going down, it's going to go down pretty good. 74.75 is right here. The swing low is 74.75. It's got this number right here that it wants to get to right now. There it goes. It stops at break even. I'm just going to give it some room because if I get 1 tick, we're still going to end negative. So I'm going to give it some room and see if it'll get down there. To get down here to get positive. Come on, get down there. It's almost there. It wants to go. Oh, got me. All right. Well, this was painful. After all the action we had this morning, that was kind of painful to watch. But let's go fill out the sheet for today. We had today is day 100. Since I didn't keep in track. 528. And today on the NQ, we had nothing. On the Russell, we had minus 25. On the ES, we had 0. So we're going to be a white day today, guys. Minus $1,250. I'll copy this down to here. I think we had about 17 minutes. Okay. 2 trades, 1 stop out. Okay, and this is day 100 that I've been keeping track of. So I'm going to wrap it up. This is going to be a white day. We ran out of time to get our money back. We only had 1 trade that stopped out and 1 trade that gave us break even, or minus 1250 on the session. But in these sessions now, that should go all the way down to 21. That's good. And if I add to this, then that should go all the way down to 20. Good. Okay. In these sessions right now, we're averaging 16.5 minutes of trading time. And in that trading time, we're averaging $112 per contract. So if you missed the morning session, you can come to the afternoon session and nail it here. All right. If you've not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingIQ.com, click on the purple button. No credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button, and it's going to bring you to the registration page. Just fill it out. You fill that out, you'll be sent everything you need to get your indicators indicating on your desktop and get started with us first thing the next morning, or even that day if you do it first thing in the morning. All right, and that is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. He is ready.
I am. Recap of the morning session.
Today, it took 6 minutes and 2 trades to get to $1,050 with 10 contracts.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we have covered all the markets in granular detail. If you missed any part of today's broadcast, 10 minutes after I sign off, just go to youtube.com/CFRN. You can watch all or any part of today's broadcast. If you want to become a member, you need to get a hold of Valerie. You can call her at 949-42-EMINI. If you get a voicemail, just leave a message. She will call you back. Or you can send an email to support@cfrn.net. Just let her know that you're interested in becoming a member. She'll send you all the information you need so that you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not what we do is right for you. Once you become a member or passport holder, you get 2 hours of live training every trading day. Now that's an interactive environment. On top of the 2 hours of group training, you get private one-on-one mentoring. No extra charge. All you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you use as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETF. Doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance. Over and over again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. Also, as a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts. You get the concierge trade alerts, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. And every Thursday night, you're able to attend the members-only workshop. Last but not least, you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. It's everything a trader needs. All under one roof, one low price. Let's wrap it up with our good word for today. God is working in you, with you, and through you. John 17:26. That I myself may be in them. Just before he was arrested and taken to the cross, Jesus prayed, Father, I have made you known to them and will continue to make you known in order that the love you have for me may be in them and that I myself may be in them. When it comes to recognizing and responding to God's presence in our lives, Christian author John Ortberg says he lives by these 12 truths. Number 1, God is always present and active in my life, whether or not I see Him. 2. Coming to recognize and experience God's presence is learned behavior. I can cultivate it. 3. My task is to meet God in this moment. 4. I'm always tempted to live outside this moment. When I do that, I lose my sense of God's presence. 5. Sometimes God seems far away for reasons I don't understand. Those moments, too, are opportunities to learn. 6. Whenever I fail, I can always start again, right away. 7. No one knows the full extent to which a human being can experience God's presence. 8. My desire for God ebbs and flows, but His desire for me is constant. 9. Every thought carries a spiritual charge that moves me a little closer to or a little further from God. 10. Every aspect of my life, work, relationships, hobbies, errands, is of interest to God. 11. My path to experiencing God's presence will not quite look like someone else's. And number 12. Straining and trying too hard do not help. So the word for you today is God is working in you, with you, and through you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.